Join the mobile infantry and save the world. 2002, Katie Holmes, Zooey Deschanel, Gabrielle Union, Benjamin Bratt, Abandon.
We're actually looking to beef up our tech practice, but then you probably already knew that.
I've been plugging recently the free stuff available on Crackle. I have been perusing it. I came across this Katie Holmes movie. I had found recently or previous months Miss Meadows, a movie I had never heard of, but was really bizarre, but also really good. Katie Holmes was in a bunch of stuff after Dawson's Creek and appearances in Batman Begins, but a lot of her movies were not huge hits. And I honestly don't remember having heard about this movie, Abandon, any more than I had Miss Meadows. It popped up. Benjamin Bratt, knew him from Law and Order, various incarnations. Gabrielle Union's been in a ton of stuff, Bring It On. Zooey Deschanel had her own show for a while, The New Girl, and who doesn't know her singing voice and her appearances in Elf. So all in all, I thought, well, it's worth a try. I will watch this movie. Quick synopsis, Abandon is the story. Benjamin Bratt is a police officer sort of returning from a disgrace. He's a recovering alcoholic. He apparently had drove into someone or something. It was never clear. They didn't know the damage left on his automobile and the hair. But because of his drinking problem, he's been sort of on hiatus. He's returning, and he sort of gets the bum job. And the bum job in this instance is tracking down a year-old missing persons case of a rich trust fund kid who disappeared from college, was presumed to be traveling the Orient or whatever. But those that would otherwise inherit his trust fund have decided to begin the process of declaring him dead because he's just gone, hasn't drawn on any of his accounts, used any of his credit, etc. So Benjamin Bratt gets this sort of not a big deal job to find out, if he can find out, whatever happened to this kid that is long gone. Katie Holmes is a college student who was this gentleman, this young man's girlfriend, sort of, and that's an elaborate sort of story. So Benjamin Bratt goes to investigate. He finds Katie Holmes. We get stories about how she met this man. Embry was the young man's name. Their relationship, her obsession with finance and science. He convinced her she was a great singer. You get the idea that he's using her, but it isn't really clear. There's a bit of a mystery, and I'll be honest, despite having Zooey Deschanel, who's always entertaining, Gabrielle Union, who's always amazing, the movie really kind of plugs along for a long spell of sort of, where is this going? It's interesting enough that you kind of leave it on and you keep looking at Instagram or social media or something, and you're like, is this going to pick up? What exactly is going on here? And then it sneaks up on you. It starts to sneak up on you where you start to piece together what you think has happened, that maybe the kid is dead, and then you wonder, maybe he's what Benjamin Bratt ran into, but the time frame doesn't seem quite right, because that thought had occurred to me, and it began to pique my interest. And boy, eventually what you find out is that he was using Katie Holmes, and he was sort of planning on just running away, but he was certainly not going to take her because he put her down. He told her she was nothing, nobody. He couldn't take her out in public to these things he was going to go to. He was an all-around jerk. And she killed him and left him for dead in the sub-basement of a dorm that is going to be torn down soon. And we get this bits and pieces of this. I should have said first, she begins seeing Embry, that he's alive, and he leaves a note, and you start to wonder whether he's really alive and she really saw him or she's imagining it. And as time goes on, they lead to the inevitable conclusion with a handwriting sample that, yeah, he wrote the note, but the ink is over a year old. And Benjamin Bratt comes to pick her up. He has started drinking again. He can't start his car because he's got a blow thing. He walks to pick her up. They end up in the sub-basement of the old dorm because she said she saw Embry and he's alive and harassing her. And inevitably, she ends up reliving her murder of Embry as she murders Benjamin Bratt. And then we're left with her getting the internship she'd been after with the corporation. She's got the job, and the guy that's been wanting to have a relationship with her at the job, and he dumps her. And then you're left wondering. And that's abandon. That turn by turn, as these men come into her life and abandon her or mess up or are going to leave her or whatever it is, she snaps, and she's killed twice now, and you're left with the definite impression that she's going to kill the guy at the office job. So it starts out, you're like, this is kind of a neat setup, and then it's kind of dull, and you're like, you're not sure where it's going, and then by the end, you're like, it really surprised me. By the end, it really drew me in. It was really well done. And I have to say, Katie Holmes apparently can play a really good psychopath. You go back to the movie Miss Meadows, man, I loved that movie. And she was great in that, and being sort of the female skirted purse-carrying Punisher, taking out vigilante wrath on people who richly had it coming. Maybe that was sort of her niche, and maybe she needs to do more of that. I shouldn't say that. SJW Marvel might just try to bring her back as the Punisher. Oddly enough, though, she might do a good job in that role. But nevertheless, that is the story of Abandon, and the story of one woman used, discarded, psychologically scarred, and striking back with a vengeance and killing, and she kills again. And you're definitely left with the idea that she's going to kill again the guy at the office. And boy, it's quite a setup, quite a delivery. By the end of the movie, it really surprised me at how good it was. And so check it out. Right now, it's free on Crackle. Let me know what you think, and we will see you next time. Mobile Infantry made me the man I am today.